Welcome, everybody, and welcome to our webinar in partnership with GIBS Business School. My name is Linda from Cheeba, Cannabis Academy and Hemp Academy, as well as Cheeba Consulting, which deals also with hemp. Our amazing course that we run with GIBS Business School, as well as talking about an introduction to the actual industry and understanding the opportunities and the market, etc., because it can be all a little bit too in the haze. And so we're just going to probably try and help people unpack all of that. Normally, the way we run these webinars is that we have panel discussions, but because of the information that we have to really share and download, we're going to have individual interviews. So I'd like for Trent to please bring in our guests just so they can say hello. Hi, everybody, all looking nice and fresh. How's it?
Hi, Linda.
Cool. So please, Daryl, I think going from Daryl, just give us an introduction to who you are and where you're from. And also, I think also the actual province, because people must know that we're all from different places right now.
Oh, okay. Sure. My name's Daryl Weiss. I'm part of the Silverleaf Investments venture capital company. We are focused on investments in the industrial and medicinal cannabis sector. We've been going for 3.5 years now, and we're still waiting for legislation to change so that we can be a successful venture capital company.
Excellent. So did everybody hear that? He's the money. He's the money guy. All right. Kylie, if you could also come in.
Thanks so much for having me, guys, and so great to share the space with you guys. Yes, man. Thanks so much, Linda. It's Kylie here from Shanti Natural Care. We're a local company based in Cape Town. So we specialize in formulating and manufacturing skincare products, particularly CBD products. Some of you guys have perhaps seen our products around. We've been around for about 5 years now. And we're hoping to share our knowledge and also share some of the things we picked up along the way, including challenges and maybe some business stuff. Yeah.
Excellent. And also, guys, just know that Shanti is based in Cape Town, and I think you're in Upper Cliff. Sure. Is that correct? You've got a shop there.
That's right. Yeah, I'm actually originally a farmer by heart. But I knew if I'm going to have to play this game, I'm going to have to go to the city. So, yeah, I'm actually a farmer playing around in the city.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Kylie. And then Ross Hare, please, sir, introduce yourself.
Hi, guys. Thank you to Linda and to Cheeba for this opportunity. Much like Kylie, I'm also a farmer up here in Limpopo and very passionate about the cannabis industry, the medical cannabis industry specifically. I'm the CEO and founder of MCE SA, Medical Cultivation Exporters of South Africa. Previously, Medical Cannabis Exporters of South Africa, but we've had to alter our name to comply with certain outside regulations. Here to offer you guys some information on our journey getting into the medical cannabis space. And excited to have this opportunity to present and tell you guys some truths about the medical cannabis industry.
Some of those truths, demystifying the industry for us. Thank you so much, Ross. Tabu, where are you coming from, brother?
My name is Tabu Madliwa, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Umyawe Mpuma. I just want to say thank you to Cheeba Academy and to all my colleagues here on the screen that made this day possible. And I'm from the Eastern Cape, the humble Eastern Cape, the Green Belt, or the beginning of the Green Belt. The farm is located in Kumcha, which is close to the Kha River. So as you cross into the Transkei.
Oh, Mkai, nice to see you. Sis Vanessa.
Hi there, my name is Vanessa D'Souza. I'm the General Manager at Grow One Africa. Our headquarters are actually in Oudtshoorn in the Karoo. So we've got a little bit of Karoo love coming your way, although a lot of our team is situated all over the country. So I'm here to let you know a little bit about Grow in Africa and our Grow Club model and how we've made it work within this beautiful country that we live in.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Vanessa. And I hope Urtsun is warm because you don't look very warm with that hoodie on. I mean, you look very warm, not cold, sorry. And then also Brendan, please let us know who you are and where you're from.
Good evening. My name is Brendan Wood. I'm CEO of Hempsphere Pty Limited. We've been going since 2019. I am here to talk about the legislation around hemp, and basically we run herbal extracted medicinal production and design facilities, as well as sell multi-mod control systems.
Awesome. Thanks so much. So I'm going to see you guys a little bit later, so stand by. But we're just going to go a little bit over like an overview just to get people to understand exactly what is cannabis, what is hemp. There's always this, debate about this. But essentially, if you look at hemp, hemp is basically known as industrial cannabis. So on our slide here, we're basically showcasing the difference between the two. And also in South Africa, the legislation basically states that cannabis is defined as being beyond 0.2% of the THC, which is basically the psychoactive, and also the industrial applications for hemp. So that's building bricks and making fabric and things like that. Whilst medical marijuana or cannabis, that's for the medical side of things. And so this is sort of like a very interesting industry in itself. And then here we've got sort of like the value chain or the streams that we have. So we've got responsible adult use, which is one of the segments, and then we've got industrial use. That's where hemp we're going to talk about, and then also we talk about medical, and sort of those will be unpacked as we go along with our different guests that are coming along. And also just to give you guys an understanding of what it looks like to cultivate hemp, we've got here we've got a picture of, look, that's a massive hemp tree, but essentially it's really about per hectareage. That's what you're looking at, as opposed to when you do medical cannabis, you're looking at the flower from the actual plant, and it really becomes important about not really growing for mass cultivation as to more scientific and more solidified. And as you can see here, there's different types of spaces where you can grow, whether it's indoor, outdoor, within tunnels, etc. And then also the other major thing that we're going to probably be learning about and unpacking right now, because this industry is very much in its infancy, we're still developing this value chain. So you as the viewers watching here, listening, and also amazingly, and we're talking about our course, our amazing business course that we're running with GIBS Business School, who's #1 in business in Africa, and of course they're with the #1 training and educational academy and consultancy. It would make sense for us to offer a course that can help bolster and build our industry. So without further ado, can you please ask Mr. Ross Hare to come into the room? Hi Ross, how you doing, brother?
Good. How you guys doing there?
Awesome, man. So if anyone can Google Ross, so Ross was one of our former, well, actually, what do they call them? They call them alumni. That's the terminology. He's a former alumni, and then he became an investor. Now he's going to go and he's basically started a multi-million rand farm. So just letting you guys know at GIBS, if you do this course, well, at least our business course, you can be like Ross, who's out in Limpopo, which is apparently in South Africa. But Ross, go ahead, brother. Just let us know, why did you venture out into this cannabis space, and what was the drive?
So yeah, I think it's important to understand the role that medical cannabis plays, to understand why I got into it. But to keep it simple, in a word, it's passion. It's passion about the plant. It's passion about its medical potential. And obviously, growing up as a teenager in South Africa, being exposed to the plant recreationally, and then I went off and did my undergrad at UCT, and then went over and did postgrad in Stanford in California, where I was exposed to their dispensary model. And my journey with medical cannabis started before it was legal in South Africa. In 2014, when my father was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, very aggressive, very quickly spreading. And when the best doctors at Stanford Medical in California tell you there's nothing they can do, you start to look at what they can't do. And I started doing a lot of research. I've got 2 undergrads, postgrads. I'm a very, very good student in my past. And definitely went down the rabbit hole into the medical studies and the medical journals that were available at the time. And I think at the time in 2014, medical cannabis and cancer research was the #1 PhD topic and research topic published in the United States. So that led me down the medical route. I think that the medical industry brings a level of formality and treatment that the recreational market, or I don't like the term the black market, it sends the wrong message, but let's call it the informal market. Something that the informal market just is never going to be able to provide. And especially when we're looking at business, a lot of what we do in business, I also run 2 investment funds. We look at risk management. And if you look at the recreational market, the policy uncertainty and what's going on, there is a lot of risk involved in it. But when you start looking at the medical industry offers quite a fair amount of certainty in terms of from your off-takes to your licenses. We don't operate in gray areas. We operate very much in the medical space, and it's very black and white. And that's what we like as investors, as business managers, is we want as much certainty as we can get. So that was my journey. That's what led me to medical cannabis. And when it became an option in South Africa in 2017 or 18, I started researching how one can enter this market successfully, build a business around it. And that's what led me to Cheeba. I did an online course. I did another online course. I did another online course. I did the 3-month course. And Cheeba really prepared me to enter into the market. And we did a couple rounds of fundraising and managed to raise a couple $1 million to build this facility out in Limpopo. Why Limpopo, you ask? Well, where we are positioned on a main line, there's a PPA agreement between South Africa and Botswana, so we don't get load shedding in our particular area.
That's smart. Yeah, nice.
So indoor cultivation is our focus, and obviously electricity supply is pivotal to that. So we chose our location here in Limpopo, and hopefully we'll have our license issued in the beginning of next year. We're ready for inspection, and it's been a very exciting journey in terms of working in a sunrise industry, working in a space that is still developing, and from an investment point of view, working in a market that is growing at an exponential rate. There are new countries coming online for medical use. Greece was one that just opened, Switzerland in 2022. Germany a little bit before that. A lot of people very excited about Germany. A lot of interesting policy developments happening there. But again, speaking to the business-minded people, one of the things they teach you when you do an economics major, one of our problems in South Africa is, the value of our currency and being able to export South African goods and bring them to the
if we can just jump onto that quickly, Ross, about the opportunities, because I think that's really what a lot of people are going to want to talk about. Because initially, when you first started, you talked about passion, but now is there money, like in the industry itself? Are we able to make money out of this passion that we have?
100%. I mean, I didn't sell my investors on passion alone. Let me tell you that the money is very attractive, and if you can get access to the international market, we have a competitive advantage to a lot of other countries. We have relatively low cost of labor. Electricity, when we have it, is still internationally quite cheap. We've got it all the time, so that's not really a big concern for us. But certainly the price point that we're able to enter into the market. I was at the International Cannabis Expo in Berlin with Trenton as well through Cheeba. And I mean, the prices that we're talking about, all in line with our business models, and there is definitely money to be made. And passion alone,
and then
nobody gets that or passion alone.
Excellent. And also, if we could just talk a little bit about the actual setup costs, because essentially you haven't received your license as yet. So prior to receiving your license, you have to set up an actual facility itself. Can you just walk us through some of that and maybe a little bit of frustrations so that you can help other people out there thinking to enter the space, what to watch out for?
Yeah, so I would encourage anybody to do one of the courses with Cheeba, because a lot of what I've seen in this industry is people entering the industry thinking, okay, we're going to put down $2-3 million to build a world-class facility like what we've done here, a world-class indoor cultivation facility that is up to international EU GACP and GMP standards. There's a lot of terminology, a lot of overlapping legislation that we need to navigate. But the setup costs are extensive, and if you want to get into the space, there are a lot of hurdles in your way, and it's not just a simple issue of just putting a plant in a pot and some air conditioning and away you go. It's a lot more complicated than that, and also getting into the medical space comes with a level of professionalism and a level of seriousness that the recreational market just doesn't have. So getting into the space is certainly challenging. It's a daunting task, and I see many guys with a lot of money getting into the industry, but failing on some of the fundamental business principles. I would not get into this industry if I was not a cannabis person. It requires a network of suppliers, of purchasers, advisors, consultants. It requires a whole network of people for a business to run. And if you're not a cannabis person and you don't have that network, or you don't actively come to a place like Cheeba to help you build and develop your network, you're setting yourself up to fail. And that's why I got involved with Cheeba. I like to set myself up for success. And building that network is one of the most important things. And it's from the investment capital space to the medical cannabis space. Any business requires a network. And I see guys that are not cannabis people trying to get into the space, not even medical people coming from pharmacy or medical background, trying to enter the space very unsuccessfully. I think I'll
No, thanks for that, Ross. And I think also one of the things we need to highlight here is that this is not a green rush or a gold rush, because a lot of people have been given that perspective that once you set up a cannabis cultivation space, you're going to be a billionaire. I think they're thinking about good old Escobar, and just thinking that this is going to be something easy. But like any other business, it takes time, as you said, network. But also, I think the other thing that people need to understand is that this is a farm, essentially. You're a farmer. As much as you're farming for pharmaceuticals or for the medical space, you're actually cultivating. So that comes with its own challenges and circumstances. And I think those are the things that we at Cheeba have found has been sort of like the shortcomings of a lot of the people that have come into the space, thinking that they can really, turn around the money quickly whilst you're still building. I mean, the fact that, how long have you been in the process of building? When is SAPRA coming to? I think that's another thing we have to actually understand is when SAPRA comes in, like, what do they do? What do they look for? And then what happens if you don't meet those criteria? What is the remediation, etc.?
So I think it's a very complicated process. I think to simplify it for you, you need to show control. You need to show control over your product. You need to show control over your inputs. You need to show control over your cultivation practices. And that's what SAPRA is essentially looking for. They're looking to see, can you control the temperatures that your product is stored at, the microbial activity, pesticides, heavy metal? Are you testing all of your inputs? Are you getting certificates of analysis for your outputs, for your inputs? Is this product safe? It's all about safety. But what SAPRA is looking for, they're looking for you to be able to show control over every aspect of your business, of your production line, of your staff. And I think if I can simplify it in that way, it'll help people understand really what is at the essence of getting a SAPRA license.
Okay, cool, man. That's fine. And I guess if people have any questions to ask about that, they can also remember that we also run a consultancy as well as having an actual academy. So if you're wanting to activate, your own cannabis cultivation space, we have the network to assist you, as Ross did say, and that's pretty much something that we are offering to the people, as well as obviously the actual course for them to get a good understanding of the overview. I'm just quickly mindful of time now. I think I'm just checking to see if we that's correct. Bye, Ross. Sorry about that. So anyway, we've got Brendan here who's going to talk about the hemp industry. So Brendan, tell us just a little bit about the hemp industry currently, the way it is situated, and then also how does one get started? So I think go for it, my brother.
Fabulous. Thank you very much for having me, Cheeba. So basically,
cool.
And can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear. Yeah.
100%. So basically, the regulatory framework has been developed in South Africa by Dallard, and one can apply for a license. There are certain restrictions. If you have had previous conviction as a large-scale drug dealer or are connected to organized crime, then you will not be able to get a hemp license. Otherwise, basically, it's open to everybody in South Africa, and the licensing must be obtained within, I believe it's within 28 days of planting, that you must have your application not only submitted but processed, and you have to also go to your local police station and submit your applications through those particular elements. It's very important for you to understand that in the hemp industry, there's very much a line drawn between the cannabis industry and the hemp industry. The hemp industry, you have to grow a crop that has a THC content of below 0.2. And it also requires farmers to actually monitor and ensure compliance, adding a bit of extra cost and risk to the operation. And our biggest lack of infrastructure for the downstream processing within South Africa, and the distance to these current processing facilities. There are only a few available in South Africa, and there are certain companies such as Grow One Africa that are working very hard to produce our own local decortification machines at a much more nominal fee than the international import units. Personal experience with that, luckily. And the other navigation strategies we need to look at is we need to advocate for collaboration. So industry stakeholders need to start coming together. We've been working very closely with Cobasa and Cheeba and other companies to ensure that we have more collaboration between industry stakeholders, and then ensure that our compliance with international standards align with the European and United States, so that we can sell our products internationally. And then obviously our building our capacity in South Africa is one.
All right. So Brendan, if I can quickly just come in there and just really talk about the opportunity here.
Issues. We don't have capacity at the moment.
Yes, and so that's in itself, I believe, an opportunity. The fact that we're still building the capacity space around the hemp industry. Just from your purview, in terms of like, in the next 5 to 10 years, once we have established some sort of infrastructure, some sort of market, and some sort of credibility in the space, what are the opportunities for Africa? Because having the most arable land within the world, what can we look for? What can we look forward to? Maybe not in our timeline, but maybe in someone else's. Going forward.
No, 100%. There's definitely massive interest in Africa, in the whole of SADC, that I've got personal experience with. There are huge facilities being set up at the moment, and there's definitely going to be a large market in Africa. A lot of people just need to realize the length of period of time that it takes to develop a particular strain for a particular product. Each product has to be grown in a specific way. You can't just grow a cannabis product and think, oh, I'm going to buy hemp from Czechoslovakia and all of a sudden it's going to work perfectly under our conditions. It takes 5 to 6 years to get your strains perfect, and that's with intensive agricultural practice and some serious science behind it to break it down to 5 to 6 years. I believe hemp used to take up somewhere up to 15 years to produce a strain, and they do it in indoor facilities now, and they have 4 crops a year, and it still takes 6 years to get a single strain out.
Sure.
So it is a process. There is huge potential.
Yeah.
Massive potential in the protein industry. There's huge potential in the horse feed industry, as well as chicken feed and animal bedding. And then Afrimat have now released their brick, which is fantastic. And obviously, we need to ensure that all our building processes get all of their downstream accreditations correct, so that they are standard operating procedures for everybody to follow, so that they can build with whether it's a geotextile or any of those types of products. That's obviously your lowest hanging fruit.
Yeah, exactly. I think I just want to stop you there, Brendan, and just really talk about the low tech sort of like opportunities, because everyone's thinking obviously the decorticator, that's when we get more sophisticated, more investment, etc. But right now, looking at for example, the Afrimat hemp brick, which already they've used to create the hemp hotel out in Cape Town, and a couple of RDP projects in Zimbabwe, etc. So just tell us about the low tech applications. I mean, you can go back to the actual Afrimat hemp brick, the viability of it, and also why would I want to build my house out of hemp?
So there are many advantages for building a house out of hemp. Mainly, your fundamental reason for building a house out of hemp is the insulation quality. Fire retardant, yes. But your insulation within hemp is far superior to any normal brick or general other material that you could utilize to construct your house. The hemp insulation, and it's also very how could I put? It's very easy to build with the hemp brick because of the lightness of the actual brick itself, and due to its thermodynamics, one doesn't need to use lots of energy to cool the house itself, and it keeps a very continuous humidity and moisture level within the building. So therefore, you don't have to humidify or dehumidify as much, as well as heat or cool your building. So it makes a lot of sense to use hemp in a construction industry. Yes.
Excellent. So already we have an opportunity there with housing and social development, I'm sure. Sorry, can you hear me? No. Oh, okay. Yeah. So
yes,
I think already.
So on that particular point, as far as
yes.
As far as construction is concerned, we're working very closely with a few developments at the moment that are pushing to actually bring in an e-brick using hemp as a battery within the brick itself. So it's something very exciting for the university.
Yeah. Yeah. Is it like a Tesla wall, a Tesla e-brick wall? What is that?
Basically, but the only thing is it doesn't die like lithium ion, and it doesn't have to be mined by children in Congo.
Oh my word! Okay, so sorry, Brendan, you have to unpack this for us. Remember, some of us are very new to this, and especially what you're talking about. So you're telling me that the actual brick itself is it electric? Is it like how are you feeding electricity out of that?
The brick itself would be a storage vessel. It's a storage vessel for a organic electrical device. The electrical device will be basically stored within the wall. It doesn't degrade. It can take huge amounts of overcharge and undercharge, and it can be completely depleted.
Oh wow! Okay, no, we're gonna Google that and hopefully give some information on that as it develops. No, I can't wait to see that.
Breaking edge of the technology as far as.
Oh wow! No, I'm very excited to see that. No, for sure, Brendan. But we'll catch up with you hopefully soon when we get the brick into production, so we can come and see that and showcase that. So thank you so much, man. Great to hear that there's a lot of innovation taking place. And now over to the Eastern Cape and Western Cape. Kylie, where are you? Hi, Tab. I think first let's talk about what you're doing.
Okay. I'm doing some cannabis products, so cannabis derived products, especially from hemp in particular. So we've got starting from our prototypes, your hemp beer, which you can look forward to seeing and tasting soon. And then we're doing other products, so anti-aging cream, a muscle and joint cream, some hemp teas, and CBD tinctures, and a range of other exciting products derived from hemp.
Excellent. And then you, Kylie, what products are you bringing to market?
Yeah, so here out in Cape Town, we're super blessed with our indigenous herbs. So we focus on like blending and creating like a unique product where we use kind of the indigenous herbs such as puhu and rooibos, and we add, of course, like the hemp-derived CBD with it to like formulate some natural products. So from your balms to your natural soaps as well, which can also be found like in store.
Okay, so Tabu, tell me, so this hemp beer or cannabis. So firstly, actually, let me just backtrack. In terms of you guys, you both could answer this question. In terms of entering this space in this market, what have been the difficulties, and then also what has been sort of like the beneficiation for you? Because obviously it's still starting out, but like, is the market receptive to cannabis products? And are you able to communicate fairly well in terms of what are the benefits? And then also, is it cost effective? I mean, are people able to compare you to like Sunlight soap or Vaseline cream, etc.? Like, what has been the experience and the journey for you guys trying to establish your businesses in this very infinite starting market?
Shanti, ladies first.
Hi, thank you so much. Yeah, Tabu, this is actually a very interesting question because a couple of years ago when I started out my business, it was really word of mouth and literally, sending it to who you know. But since then, like 5 years down the line, the market has really grown and people have become way more educated about the benefits. And so I see now that the opportunity kind of has grown for the demand for cannabis based products, because not only cosmetics, I see there's a demand for edibles, your recreation. There is a demand growing if I look down the line. And just some of the challenges that we faced, in the industry is that because we are SMEs, we lack a lot of business experience, which we don't really pick up, say, on academic level. It's not really pushed or in school as well. And so we are navigating an industry where you also have to wear many hats. So if everyone that knows that if you're an entrepreneur, it's not only about making products, it's about your financial literacy. Are you investment ready? Or is your business tax compliant? So I think one of the first main challenges that I faced as a business is just getting myself as a startup, compliant with like your CIPC, your SARS, your tax. And so once you start off correctly, I believe that is like a proper foundation to kind of like grow. Because if you don't get the basics and the fundamentals correct, chances are you're gonna hit some snags along the way. I will give over to Tabo because I will also talk all night as well.
Okay, excellent. Obviously, she's very passionate about this industry. Yes.
Yeah, so some of the challenges, I'm going to go for the low hanging fruits, which is
Yeah.
regulation. And for a long time, as SMMEs, we couldn't operate because SAPRA would seem or deem us operating under the gray area. So regulation
Indeed.
0.0001 recurring. So we couldn't sell products or put products on the shelf for a long time because we were worried about if we're flouting with the limits, the THC limits, and also to find reputable suppliers, and because everyone was a reputable supplier when the price of CBD was sky high, and to make sure that we adhere to regulations, and also the stigma. Lots of people can't to this day differentiate between hemp and cannabis or marijuana. And so from adhering to site inspections and involving your local police force to working with different collaboration. I think that word has been mentioned a couple of times, collaborating
100%.
with the Eastern Cape Hemp Producers Association, and which is also one key component, which is part of the master plan, the educational part, which is getting tertiary. We're fortunate and blessed enough to be working with Walter Sisulu and Kemen, Tia, and CSIR that are helping us with the research and with more in-depth knowledge with what we're working with and how we can make it better.
I think also you touched on something very important here, because you are both, your companies are both actually being incubated by TIA, and which is basically a little sister of the DTI. And essentially, what kind of support have they been giving you in terms of product development and market permumenting? I wasn't told to use the word penetration, so I have to use permumenting, and I can't say that word. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, so TIA has actually been fundamental at this stage in our level of compliance because they've been pushing for testing at the highest level. So they've, activated the whole sector in terms of linking us with the universities. Whereby they test for stability, microbial, even to a point where they're doing irritation tests. So at the end of the incubation program, our products will be fully kind of endorsed by dermatologically, approved institutions, which is kind of what we why we're doing this and what we aim to achieve. Because I want to look down a couple of years down the line, and I want to be proud of where I started this business and where I ended up, because it took so many years to kind of like pioneer kind of what's happening now. And I believe it's with the growing pains of the industry. And we kind of have to take a lot of the blows all the time, to be honest with you. And it comes with the learning. So yeah, it's quite industry. It's quite interesting.
No, for sure. I think one of the things that I was taught like during this year, because obviously all of us are like, startups and developing in a developing economy, in a developing industry. And someone said to me, don't worry about making money because you are planting the seeds which your children will bear the fruit of. And I was like,
Exactly.
wow, okay, so you're studying the foundations. But Tabu, just tell us about Eastern Cape in terms of that market. Like, are you selling to that market specifically, or are you selling to another province, or are you going overseas? What's your market looking like?
So, so one of the things, firstly, I just wanted to tap into how Tia has helped us, and it's helped with firstly we can do batch testing, herbicide, pesticide testing, because you can't work with contaminated cannabis. That will create a contaminated product. So to make sure that where you source your hemp or your biomass, that is really important. They have helped us in that, and also for trademarking and patents and IP protection, which is crucial in the cannabis industry because most of the products that you make, we have our own unique formulation, and so they've been a great help to us. And to your second question, I would like you to repeat it so I can quickly go to it.
Sure. No, I'm just wondering about the market. Like, are you selling already? Are you trading?
Yes, we are trading. However, we found that applying research that most of the sales are done through online purchases,
Uh-huh.
and also like physical visits to your health shops where you can get someone who's there on hand, like a face-to-face encounter, telling you more about the product and the benefits of using the product. So currently we're selling at a couple of health shops, which has been great. And also, word
Yeah.
of mouth is the best form of advertisements for your products. And yeah, so that's what we've been focused on. However, as Shanti said, Tia has helped us in terms of getting our products to
Beautiful.
a
Yeah.
quality where we can tap into
Yeah.
the export industry, and we can generate some much needed foreign revenue.
No, that's awesome, man. I think for me, the biggest thing here is that we are still so pioneering for the fact that we still don't have a set supply chain, set regulations, etc. But government is willing to step in and roll up their sleeves and say, listen, this is an opportunity for industrialization. We've got young, entrepreneurs who are willing to take like a big risk in this because they're passionate about the benefits of what this product can create for them, because we're tired of living in a situation where we've got toxic products that we put into our skin and into our blood systems. And so through the education and understanding, we're able to formalize and create beautiful products such as your own. And I've used all your products, so that's also why I'm so young and shiny looking and so amazing. So yeah, man, thanks guys. And yes, and again, please everybody, education, and we are running the GIBS business course, which Trenton will be talking about. So if you're feeling like you want to get in here, this is an opportunity to do that for yourself and potentially for your future, because essentially this is an industry that's going to is part of our future. And if you're missing out, you're going to miss out if you don't, start formalizing yourself with the available information and the experts that are there. I think that's our time now. Thanks so much, guys. Oh, sorry, Tabu, you've got a point for me?
Yeah, it would be a cardinal sin not to mention this, because Tia has also helped us to do the hemp or cannabis extraction course with Cheeba, and
Oh, yeah.
those are one of
Plug, plug, plug.
one of the benefits of and assistance that we get is to work and to collaborate with such a business. So thank you guys, and see you later.
Wow. Thanks so much. Your
Thank you so
10%
much,
is coming
guys.
at you. Thanks, guys. Cool. Great. So now we're going to talk to. So now I think the important thing now is to understand that currently now we have people who are doing, the primary sector, which is the cultivation side of things, and then we've got our beautiful two guests who just left us. We're talking about, creating actual product, and then now we look at Mr. Moneybags. Mr. Daryl here, Mr. Investor. So Daryl, just tell us how's it been? In the last 3 years of your sort of introduction into the industry. Are you still as hopeful and excited about everything and all the developments happening locally and internationally?
Yeah. So Linda, we started the fund in 2020. We conceived the fund end of the year and launched within 2 months. Wildly enthusiastic because we were at the tail end of COVID, if you remember. And we thought that legislation had not been promulgated purely because of the COVID problem. Because in 2018, we had a certain amount of legislation that went through that enabled people to grow privately for their own consumption, and saw the beginnings of the medical cannabis licensing program. So we thought we're just about to hit a growth industry, and a lot of legislative change is in the air. And it's 3 years later, Linda. It's 3 years later, and we've had a torrid time, in fact, deploying some of our funds. So it hasn't been an easy journey, that's for sure.
No, for sure. And I think also one of those other challenges is we're still figuring this thing out from a legislative framework. And I think for you as an actual fund to get people to get excited and eager to invest in there, just tell us exactly why you feel like we still should be pushing this in terms of investment opportunities within the country.
Well, that's a complex question. So lots of factors there. If you start a business, you've got to be optimistic. And whilst we're seeing around the world that legislation has been slow to change across the developed markets, with one or two surprising developing markets opening up, we by and large are very influenced by what happens in the first world. And I think that when we see the legislation changing in the US and EU, I suspect that our various ministerial departments, who are all part of the decision-making group who legislate, would feel a lot easier about making legislative reforms. And of course, the key area, you showed the seminar, the key areas of cannabis. You've got industrial cannabis or hemp. You've got medical cannabis, which is specifically meant to have pharmaceutical application. And then you've got what we call adult use or recreational. Now, quite frankly, that is the largest part of the market. So if you go into the USA, where they've legalized, they have grown in the space of some 5 years a formal market of $20 billion. That's 400 billion rand. That's a fair whack of our economy. But I think what hurts more is that there's probably in and around $200 billion of gray market or black market sales in the USA today.
Wow.
And this is by no means a small industry. This industry is by some accounts in the region of $800 billion US dollars. You compare that to tobacco and alcohol, they're just over the $1 trillion mark, and they've got all the legality.
Wow. Well, that's the opportunity. I mean, that's the landscape. That's the horizon that we're all wanting to achieve, you know. And
Cool.
I think also it's important for us to also understand that again, it's a developing market. And I think yourselves, as you know, Silverleaf, have had to adjust sort of like what was promised initially, and then now what is currently the opportunity. So the optimism is still there because the opportunity is very much gaping at us. But also, we don't have to look locally. You know, if our market is still infant. What are your sort of like suggestions that you would have if people want to look offshore? You know, obviously you want them to keep the money, but at the same time, you want them also to, like, you know, make some returns.
Yeah. So look, I think that there are two major areas of opportunity for South Africa. Of course, the one is medical cannabis, and we are evidently able to demonstrate across the globe that we have superb conditions, climate conditions, that we are in fact very experienced at growing cannabis. We have a legacy industry that is enormous. And a little known fact is that sub-Saharan Africa grows about a third of the world's cannabis. Sub-Saharan Africa.
Wow.
I think they consume a lot of it too.
So it doesn't seem to get overseas.
Yeah. So that's the one side, is medical cannabis, where a lot of countries have realized it's expensive to grow. So if we can find a developing market that can supply, that would be fantastic. And we're feeling our way through there, and we're starting to see some successes, because medical cannabis is, as one of our speakers earlier said, Ross, is a complicated product to produce. It's got to be produced indoors in the main. It's got to be kept free of pesticides, herbicides, mildew, fungus, etc. It's a challenge. The other very big area that unfortunately my fund can't really play in terribly significantly yet is the industrial cannabis arena, which is the hemp market. And I think, I think those who have read up a bit will know that there are hundreds of products that can be made from hemp. That in years gone by, decades, centuries gone by, hemp was the number one plant or material for paper, for board. That it was one of the hemp seed oil was one of the one of the medicines that was widely used in Europe and the US pre the advent of aspirin and other chemically induced pharmaceuticals. There's textiles, a huge textile industry. China never banned hemp. They use it to make clothing for their army, for their defense force. All Chinese soldiers are dressed up in hemp.
No, exactly.
We've heard about hemp bricks. So there are a myriad of uses, and boy, do we want to create a hemp industry in South Africa. You know, and that requires secondary investment as well. Not just growing the stuff, you've got to be able to process and manufacture products.
100%. I mean, just to quickly touch on that, Daryl, before I have to say goodbye to you, because this is very fascinating, aspect of the industry itself, because, people want to know where the money's at. I mean, one of the people that, approached us a while ago, and also very recently in the IDC symposium, which we took part in, that happened here in Johannesburg at the IDC, was talking about the industry and opportunities, etc. And Fashini, the TFG group, were there, and they said, listen, we want to replace all our denim with the hemp, and we're the off takers. We're ready to do this, but unfortunately, there's no infrastructure that's been put in place to process the hemp once it's arriving. And I think for that, if you're an international onlooker, I mean, that could be an opportunity already that potentially we could look at Silverleaf constructing. But other than that, we can talk about that later. And I want my 5% cut there, Daryl, please. And thanks again, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Maybe next year come with a big investment for us, and then let us know about it.
Sounds good, Linda.
Cool. Thanks a lot. Great. So now we're going to move over to what do we call this? We called it recreational adult use. What do you prefer, Vanessa? How should we call this?
It's difficult. I'd say it's a non-commercial adult use. model.
Non-commercial adult use. I like that. It's nice and clean. It's not black market. It's not illicit. I love it. So just tell us exactly who is Grow One Africa and what service do you guys provide us?
Okay, well, Grow One Africa is seen as a company that has brought in a grow club model, but ultimately we're much more than that, as I think we are. We are part of the industry builders. You know, I think anyone going into the cannabis industry at the moment is an industry builder. There is nothing in place. We have to develop from the bottom up, and so it doesn't matter if we're involved in the grow club model. Ultimately, we are having impact on all different parts of industry. And I mean, our grow model and our family, we call it the Goa family. They are very special to us. We have developed this club model that ultimately offers people the opportunity to share cannabis in a private space as adults in a non-profit within a non-profit club. And I think this is what differentiates us from other clubs as well, that we are non-profits. Our actual clubs are NPCs, as well as the fact that all our products are tested. This is something that we've always been very strict about, and that is very important to us, that our products be lab tested. So everything is tested for heavy metals and pesticides, and also full profiles so that we can have more information for our members, because education is key.
Education is key. Yeah, definitely.
So on that as well, sorry, Linda, we are also busy with, at the moment, launching our decorticator that Brendan mentioned. So this is our industry. Okay. We have heavy testing on that. And also giving some of our time and resources to our industry on a whole. So our clubs are what keep us going to be able to assist with all the rest of the industry work.
Excellent. So just to understand that, because for those who are very new to Goa and all the club systems and how the platform works, so you're not essentially a club. You basically help manage or create a platform for clubs to enable themselves to participate in a commercial aspect. Just unpack that a little bit for us, because a lot of people are coming to me because we work in education. Like, I was at the mall and I was sold some CBD plus and it was delicious. I want to open up my own store. Can you just advise that individual that would walk into your doors?
Okay, so basically all our cultivators and our clubs have got to go through quite strict, well, I say cultivators and processing members, because we have to cultivate and then we've got to process the cannabis further into either products, or even take harvesting and curing and then taking it further to make it a flower is still processing. So there are two aspects involved in this. But all our processing and cultivating members, as well as our clubs, have to go through quite stringent self-regulatory compliance measures that we've put in place, looking at all the other regulatory kind of models in place overseas. So we looked at the NCOT model, we looked at the states, we saw what they did, and to be quite honest, we've more over-regulated than under-regulated. We'd rather be safe than sorry. So that is why from the beginning we've kind of set quite stringent kind of regulatory processes in place, which can be a bit putting to some people, but for me personally, for me I would like to know in my cannabis that it has been tested. I want to know that my cannabis is not filled with poison. I want to, we've got Goa Light, which is our new software that we've brought into we've just been in the process of finalizing our development of it, and that helps to manage our clubs. It helps to manage our cultivators. It tracks and traces our cannabis from seed to SARS, because all of our members
gotta pay the tax, man. Yeah. What kind of dealers are these?
Well, I'll tell you something. When people ask me what I do, and I was in very different kind of industries before, but I am very passionate about cannabis, and I say, well, I work with the highest functioning stoners you will ever know. They keep it on my like no other industry. I tell you, everyone here.
100%. Yeah. I think also just to let the like everyone know. So like here at Cheeba, like at our academy in Rivonia, we do have a social club ourselves, which is set up on the Goa principles and mandates, etc. And I think for me, when we basically started at the same time with Goa, when we started out also as Cheeba back in 2018, 2019. And I think the one thing that was so astonishing to me, like within the first year or two, there was really like branded products that were part of the, so basically you're part of an ecosystem. So you can't really come outside of it. So it's a circular system of about 20 to 22 clubs. And I think it's self-sustaining. People are making a living out of this industry. And I think it showcases exactly what are the potential opportunities in terms of industrialization and also, spaces for people to derive an income, especially since after COVID. As much as COVID is supposedly gone, the impact financially is still very much felt. And I think a lot of the people in Goa who joined the model were able to sustain themselves and still have livelihoods after that, because I think that was one of the things that I noticed.
The interesting thing is that Grow One Africa was born in June 2020. So in the midst of COVID, when it came into being, and that's where it kind of evolved from. So I completely agree with you, and thank you for summarizing so beautifully, because it's absolutely that. It is a closed loop circuit. Our cultivators cultivate for the Grow One Africa family, cultivate for their members. We have a supply follows demand model. So we can only supply as much as there's a demand. So when our members come in, they sign up, they do a members needs assessment. And from there, then clubs allocate whatever the requirements are to the cultivators. And those cultivators 100%. Then are able to supply this demand. Yeah. But it's a very closed loop. So we don't just take offtakes from everywhere and bring it into our system. It's very heavily monitored and tracked and traced.
And I think that's one of the other things of benefits of having the Cannabis Club, which people need to be aware of. Because, like, for example, there's so many medicinal sort of properties that cannabis has. And normally when people talk about recreational, they think, hey, so up. But it's not really about being partying, because most of the time people take cannabis for certain ailments, such as anxiety, sleep deprivation, or appetite, etc. And so this is why I think it's important to have establishments such as yourselves running a very robust regulatory system, because we're also showcasing responsibility and also showcasing to the government we're stoners who pay tax, and then also we can contribute to the economy. And I think that's one of the things of the takeaways that's not really sung about too much in the outside world. And I really want to applaud you, Vanessa, and your team, and keep on doing the amazing work, and we'll keep on shouting it from the mountaintops. But being here in Joburg, off the copies. We'll see you soon, and I think you're coming up soon, up to Rivonia.
Yes, they're actually on their way up to Joburg at the moment. They've just hit Bloemfontein, and they'll be at Cheeba on Saturday, where they can chat to everyone.
Goa. Cannot wait. Better have my cappies. I can't wait very much. Thanks so much. Thanks, Vanessa. Sure, man. I'll see you later. So now we're going to talk about the actual course now that we're going to be rolling out with GIBS Business School. So I have here my compadre, my CEO, Mr.
Hello,
Trent
compadre.
What's up, my brother? How you doing? Where are you?
I'm next door to you.
Oh, okay. Didn't see that. Next door as in neighboring Northwest.
Yes, exactly.
This is so awkward. It's the first time we're both on screen together. But anyway, Trenton, without further ado, please tell us about this GIBS business course, what it's all about. Will I be able to sling some weed into the ecosphere once I do this course?
Not quite as simple as slinging weed, but hopefully we'll get to it at some point. We're very proud of this course. We launched it last year. It is designed as a sort of cannabis and hemp business course, so it very much focuses on the entrepreneurial opportunities where you can potentially invest. It goes across the whole supply chain, because a lot of people are very confused about this industry at the moment, which is why we're doing this webinar. But the course is it's basically 5 weeks online, so you can do it from anywhere around the world or around Africa. And then there's a 2-day immersion. So 1 day is on our campus, where we show you, anything from hemp bricks to bongs to everything across the whole supply chain. And there's sort of a few lectures take place on campus, and then we take you into the industry for a full day out, where we take you to lighting companies, medical farms, hemp farms, and all kinds of places, and get to introduce you to people who are actually running businesses, so that you can understand the challenges and the ups and downs of getting into the industry. I must just say that it's for me one of the most exciting industries in the world at the moment. There are challenges, and we are pushing a rock up a hill, but the momentum is coming. I can really feel things have started to change this year. Government are definitely on board. Okay, the wheels turn slowly in government, but it is moving. And so, this course is an opportunity to network, to really understand where the opportunities are. And we're very proud of the course with GIBS, who are obviously, the leading business school in Africa.
Indeed, Trenton. And also, I think the things that you're touching on are really important because a lot of people just assume cultivation is the only way to enter the space. I'm not a farmer. I don't know how to farm. I'm trying my best every time. But essentially, there's a whole supply chain, a value chain, and also illustrated here on the actual webinar. We have, showcased that. But you are a man of many, suitcases and shoes as you travel across the different countries, such as, America and Europe. I mean, what are the trends that you've been seeing, taking place? And then as we as South Africa, are we actually competitive? Are we offering a competitive product? What is our view that side? What do we need to do better, to actually get access into this market?
So it's a great question. Firstly, we need to work more together. We're not each other's enemy. For me, the enemy is the international market because we need to go and conquer them and sell as much cannabis as we can to the
colonize
market.
them.
Yes, we must get it back. We already have a legacy for cannabis. We've been cultivating for decades, 140,000 hectares at any one time in Pondoland, in the season. So we've been exporting. We're the fourth largest exporter of cannabis in the world, according to Interpol. So we have had cannabis as part of our society. It goes really deep culturally. So we can stand confidently across the globe and wave the cannabis flag proudly. The challenges are that the big pharma, especially on the medical side, are completely dictating it. This whole EU GMP, in my personal opinion, is completely ridiculous for a plant. So big pharma are trying to slow things down. We're up against big tobacco, big alcohol. This is one of the most disruptive industries in the world. We can replace plastic. We can create biofuel. So the industries that exist in those spaces already see us as a threat. So we are fighting to get to those points, but it is starting to get momentum. There's huge potential for us in the international space, but we've really got to consolidate this industry. We've got to get educated. We've really got to get educated. We can't just make this up and watch YouTube videos and hope for the best. We've got to really get into this properly. This is a proper professional industry. We've got to build the infrastructure. It's a sunrise industry. We've got to industrialize. We need investors to come in and not be so afraid. We've really got to start moving. But I'm happy to say that there has been movement this year. Last year was not a great year for the industry, but this year there's been a lot of momentum. And I think over the next 6 months, we're going to see quite a movement in the political space. There's a lot of conversations in government about cannabis. It's everywhere.
Indeed. No, 100%. I mean, one of the exciting things for me is that this year I was called by National Department of Agriculture to go and talk to Pondo farmers about the industry that's out there. And that was interesting for me because it was an actual event which basically took them through the actual steps of the markets. So I obviously talked about the cannabis clubs and marketing your product and having a brand, etc. And I thought that was quite revolutionary in the time that we're living, that government is understanding that this is an opportunity for people to uplift themselves. And I think when Trenton, you've just come back from Pondoland, just if you could just touch a little bit about that before we run out of time, just what is the need that side? What do we as South African consumers of cannabis have to do to go and support our people? Because again, cannabis is not like any other commodity. This is something spiritual. This is something that's been part of our DNA for many, many years. And many people in Pondoland have actually grown up who are now lawyers, doctors, and politicians. What can you say for the Pondo people as a voice for them now, since you were there recently?
So my first thing, and you've heard me say this many times before, Linda, but I think it's an absolute disgrace that the government have not dealt with, not just Pondoland farmers, but rural or legacy farmers, in this whole licensing debacle and chaos. The fact that we have people with money that can grow high-grade medical cannabis, but we have people who used to sell cannabis to send their kids to school and put food on the table. They weren't getting rich from it, and they still are criminals and still are considered to be illegal. That, I think, is a big travesty, and I think if that's not sorted out urgently, it will leave a scar on our industry. The Pondoland region, and I'm not an expert. I spent quite a lot of time there, but my lens is that there are people there who have been eating and surviving and making a living from this plant for a long time. And as the clubs come online and as the medical farms, push stuff out into the illicit market, we are essentially taking the food off the table of those people. So I think we've got to look at something like appellation, where we brand Pondoland weed like they're like Humboldt and Cali weed, and then we need to export it. I can tell you now, if you put a section of Pondo weed in LA, there'll be guys coming in there going, I need some Pondo. So we got to appellate, you know, we've got to build it out like champagne. But that takes strategy, it takes sensibility, it takes marketing, it takes people coming together. But ultimately, it takes legislation to capacitate those people. So that's my takeaway. Huge, huge, huge potential in that region, but we have to turn it on, and we have to turn it on now.
Thank you so much, Trenton, for that. And yeah, very passionate. I mean, for me, I'm from, you know, Mthatha, which is right next to Pondo with Port St. John's, etc. And it's a very passionate, you know, sort of thing for me. I mean, like, I think if I can just delve into the reason why I started this industry, I started into this industry was because both my parents, you know, died from cancer. And the fact that we've got all these products which are non-toxic, you know, are sustainable, and that we can like utilize them as people. I mean, I loosely use the, you know, please don't sue me, but the Vaseline, for example, that's plastic that you're putting into your bloodstream, blocking all your pores. And we have actual products that can save you, you know, that can actually that can actually be beneficial for you. And I think those are the other learnings that I think people need to understand, is that whatever's on the shelf doesn't mean it's necessarily good for you. So you should understand that there are other alternatives. And I think with cannabis coming into the main, a lot of people are going to start, you know, moving towards that. And I think the one important thing is about the consciousness of our human beings. You know, if we can elevate that, because one of the sayings at Cheeba Cannabis Academy, our slogan is an elevated cannabis experience. And it's not just a play on words, it's literally our consciousness needs to elevate to a point where we are conscious human beings consuming, interacting with each other, collaboration, simunye, you know, as Dr. J likes to say, and that's what we need to put into our mindsets. We can't treat this like a competition, you know, like all the other, you know, this is not big pharma playground, the fact that you can grow this at home. But I guess for me, being very passionate about this industry and getting more people on board on it is going to change, you know, the face of this planet, and also the way that we do business and the way we interact with each other as human beings. I think we're up in terms of the time. Thank you again, Trenton, so much. And also thank you so much to our guests that came through, and also for you amazing viewers, wherever you are from. Normally I'm on the other side, you know, coming back with your comments, and just let you guys know, because I'm sure people are asking, where are you going to get this video? The video will be up on our YouTube channel and also on our website, so you can go check it out. And please, guys, all the businesses and the companies that were on this platform are all starting out. Please go out and support us all in the industry, but do it ethically, and also make sure you get a certificate of analysis, because ultimately, end of the day, you need to know, if you're treating cannabis as medicine, you need to know what's in it. And that's really, you know, the whole crux of all of this. So yeah, without further ado, please, guys, check out our course. It's on the GIBS business website and also on our website. If you want to get into this industry, please holler at us. See you. Good night.